And away we go. It is the Nightcap right here on BearcatJournal.com. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Get down to Dayton, Kentucky, Wednesday through Sunday, lunch and dinner. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15%. Cater your party. Cater your tailgate. Just support the people that are absolutely rocking the fried chicken game. The best tenders in the city. The best fried chicken in the city. And awesome sides. And, yeah. They're here with us for a reason. Because they're the best.
$9 for like dinner and a drink.
And probably lunch the next day.
Maybe.
If you're
at least
depending on your appetite. Yeah, a snack. Or a snack that night after you get home.
Fourth meal.
A snack while you're watching the Nightcap.
There
at like 10 o'clock at night.
There you go.
All right. Let's get to this awesome show tonight with Ryan Royer joining us on the BBP.
Yeah, he's coming into his own.
He is. Like he felt comfortable tonight for the first time. I think the first couple weeks he was like, I'm feeling it out.
Yeah.
We got Ryan Royer tonight on the BBP, and that was outstanding. So go check that out. But let's get to it, Aaron.
Some awards this week.
Okay, here we go. Sometimes Aaron gets to drive the car. Tonight, Aaron gets to drive the car. You have the keys, my friend.
I had the idea. I always get nervous when I tell you I have an idea because sometimes.
Why? When do I ever?
I mean, sometimes
no.
Sometimes it's not good ideas. Let's be
if
honest.
It's not a good idea. I'm like,
but tonight I wanted to talk about the awards that went out for this week, and there were 3 recipients on this Bearcats team that are earning some recognition. Anyway, awards and recognition. As you had the Offensive Player of the Week for the conference in Tyler Scott. You had the Defensive Player of the Week in the conference in Ivan Pace. And now you have a Davey O'Brien watch list in the, what is it? They calling it the Elite 8? I don't remember off the top of my head.
Every week they do like the basically the best 8 quarterbacks in the country that week.
There you go. And Ben Bryant. So
this team has what is developing to be 2 legitimate stars, and that does not include a still developing Ben Bryant, who has been unbelievable in flashes and in stretches, but is still working to figure out the consistency of how to be great, not just in a 5-drive window, but how to be great in a full game window. I think that's fair.
Sure.
Right? Because in those little windows that Ben Bryant has been great, holy shit, has he been great. But there's the first half at Arkansas. There's the second half against Indiana. Like, there are still these things that are being refined and fine-tuned. But he's also at the helm of a top 25 offense in college football. So to think he's been great in these
windows,
splashes,
right,
and those have put him as one of the best quarterbacks in the country is, I mean, if you're a top 20, 25 quarterback in the country, guess what? Your quarterback play is pretty damn spectacular.
Well, right? As we discussed on the show tonight, he's pacing 4,000 yards?
Right around 4,000 yards is where we're at.
I mean,
that's a lot of yards.
Yeah, he's at 1,217 yards right now on the season.
4 games. 4 games.
Number 14 in the nation. And I guess the only people that stand out above him in conference, there's only one in that particular category, Davis Brin, who prior to getting knocked out of the game on Saturday, he's put a hell of a season together as well. Oh,
He's played really well. And
in-
I've been shocked that they've abandoned the running game. They put everything on Davis Brin's back and said, we're throwing the ball 50 times a game.
and Tanner Mordecai. Forgot about him.
That Tanner Mordecai again, but SMU that's been SMU's MO. We're going to throw.
Yes.
Cincinnati, it's going to be fascinating when we get to that, and we'll see if Davis Brin is healthy, how they handle that this weekend, and then Tanner Mordecai the following or 3 weekends later, I guess, because of the bye. Is this pass defense ready to hold up against and Indiana, I guess, fits in that same. They threw the ball 66 times.
Oh, Connor Bazelak leads the country with 202 pass attempts.
Yeah. Guess what this defensive line did? They beat him to a point that he said Indiana should have won that game.
They beat them.
That's how good the pass defense was. They hit him so many times that he didn't have an understanding of what happened in the game.
He thinks
you have to give defense credit.
He thinks they beat themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to give your defense credit when a quarterback completes 44% of his passes and gets hit so many times that he says we beat ourselves. Kudos to the Cincinnati defense. That was impressive to beat that kid into submission to that point.
Tanner Mordecai and Davis Brin are also ahead of Ben Bryant in passing touchdowns with 12 each. And Ben Bryant sits right behind them at number 11. And that's just kind of a look around the conference.
Ben Bryant's having a phenomenal start to this season. Phenomenal.
I know I didn't mention how many yards Brin and Mordecai have each. They're at 1385 and 1318 to Ben Bryant's 1217. So about 100 and 150 or so, 175 yards more than Ben.
Imagine if Ben was good in that first half against Arkansas or the second half against Indiana. He might be the leading passer in the country at this point.
So we'll see what happens as far as the rest of the stretch. I mean, obviously with Brin out, you got a chance to pass him up. If he's out for any amount of time, I have no idea.
It was an ankle, I think.
No idea what that looks like for even this weekend with Tulsa coming up, heading out to Oklahoma.
Let's get to the real two guys I want to talk about.
The real two guys that we all want to talk about. Receiving yards at number 8 in the country, Tyler Scott. The only receiver in the AAC above him is Keelan Stokes at 507, Tyler Scott at 423. As for receiving touchdowns, Tyler Scott sits at a huge tie for number 7 in the country. He has 5. Let's see how many. Good Lord, there's so many.
I don't care.
I was just looking for anybody else from the conference, if they were anyone else tied or above him, and it doesn't appear so.
He is a technician. He is. So for the longest time in football, it's been like, Al Davis, they used to talk about, it didn't matter how good the receiver was. He would take the guy with the most speed. Okay? Tyler Scott is proving to be, he's 5'10". I think actually UC lists him at 5'9.5".
I did miss one. In receiving. The leader in receiving yards in the country is actually Rashee Rice from SMU. They listed Southern Methodist, which is why I didn't see SMU.
Yeah,
and
Rashee Rice is a dude for sure.
Correct.
Tyler Scott is playing outside. He probably should be a slot receiver, but Trey Tucker is the guy that's, working in the slot for Cincinnati. As a field receiver, his progression from a running back that had never played wide receiver in his life, coming out of high school, to a field wide receiver that is now one of the most effective weapons in the nation is remarkable. And the reason it's remarkable, and I asked Ryan Royer about this tonight, how hard it is for a guy like him to go from not just being a speed guy to being a technician. His ability to run the post, his ability to run the dig. That third touchdown, when he ran the dig and dusted the corner and then made the safety look like he should have just ran off the field. That's the second time he's done this year, where he made a play where it's him and two defenders to the end zone, and neither defender even had a remote chance of making the tackle. Do you know how hard that is?
I guess, yes, I do, but I guess I'm not surprised, because how many times have we seen both he or Trey Tucker do exactly that during practice? We see this all the time, to where it becomes like old hat. Like you're not surprised when you see this happen on the field.
And here's the thing, Aaron. The post route where he made an All-American corner spin around in a circle like he was doing the little bat thing.
Like they do during timeouts? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then roll the tire.
And run wide open for a 75-yard touchdown.
It looked exactly like he did against Miami last year.
Then the third touchdown was the catch, spin, burn the defense. But the most impressive touchdown was the second touchdown, where they play action in a run fit and threw it over the top against said All-American level corner. Tyler Scott beat him on a go route, made the catch, and fought that guy off, who was also right there. The coverage was perfect. The throw was also perfect. And Tyler Scott made a play that didn't make any damn sense.
Unless you've seen Tyler Scott practice.
Right? People, like, when last year, through camp, we started to see this Tyler Scott emerge. And obviously, because Alec Pierce was the number one, and Trey Tucker was the guy working in the slot, and Michael Young was there, and you had Josh and Lenny. Like, there was a lot of noise in the way of Tyler Scott really becoming a dominant force. Tyler Scott's a redshirt sophomore. If he's here this year and continues what we're seeing right now for another 2 years into the future, this kid has a chance to be considered the best receiver in school history.
You really think if he's putting numbers up like that, though, he's here for more than one more year?
Maybe, but if he continues that through this year and next year, he might be the best receiver in school history at the end of next year.
Yeah.
And he's one of my favorite kids.
He's a joy to talk to.
He's kind, he's polite, he's smart, he's different. That's maybe my favorite thing about him, right? He is how many high-level football players go home every day and strip down to their robe and neck pillow in a room full of candles with a water feature.
I don't know anyone in this world who does that. No one.
And he's proud of it.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if a girl that I was dating at any point in my life came home and just lit candles and put a neck pillow on in a bathrobe and that's it, and I'm wondering what's wrong with you.
Right. That's Tyler Scott. He's the most chill, mellow, intellectual. When we get him, I think we're going to get him tomorrow for the press conference. And he's going to give some intellectual, amazing answer on why he's able to run routes the way that he's doing, or why he's he's so fascinating to me because he's so different than like what we consider athlete culture or like, you know, who these guys are. Tyler Scott, like, again, remember the Trey Tucker interview I did from camp?
Yeah.
Where Trey Tucker was like, we were 8 years old.
Yeah.
Driving 1,000 miles to a basketball tournament in Texas. And all he listened to was like old school Michael Jackson.
Well, speaking of different dudes, there's
here
another
comes
dude,
one.
another different dude that we have to talk about. Ivan Pace is number 16 in the country in solo tackles at 23. Tied with him is Quindell.
Top 10 in total tackles.
Number 7.
Number
in
6.
total,
7, yeah.
So number 7 in total tackles in the country at 46. Number 1 in the country tackles for loss.
Yeah.
No one from the conference is ahead of him in total tackles and in solo tackles. Looks like you have Malik Shorts from SMU with 24 coming in one spot ahead of him, and Quindell Johnson with 23 tied with Ivan.
Right.
That's it.
He has been. We didn't get to this in the podcast, and I wanted to. The last time a player was this dominant in their first 4 games as a Bearcat was Gunnar Kiel.
4.5 sacks is good for 6th in the country.
Yeah.
Derek Parrish from Houston has 5, so he's number 3, and that's it for the conference there. Actually, I take that back. Leighton Jordan also has 4.5 from Temple. That won't last.
Gunnar Kiel was a monster in his first season, 2014 to Cincinnati. This is the most impactful first 4 games a player has had for Cincinnati since Gunnar Kiel in 2014. And it has been, again, like I did an interview with Pete Thamel on 1530 where Pete Thamel flipped the script on me and started asking me questions about the Bearcats. And he said, you know, he asked about the defense. And I said, Pete, I think the best player on defense for this team is going to be named Pace, and his first name is not Deshaun. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, from everything I've seen at Camp Higher Ground, Ivan Pace is generational. Generational.
If you care, he's number 14 in the country in assisted tackles with 23. And I
Right?
still don't know that that's accurate because I feel like he assists in every tackle.
He's on every tackle. I mean, like, the crazy thing for me on Ivan is he just has this sense of what, like, he's like if you had the cheat code when you played Tecmo Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, remember the cheat code when you played Tecmo Bowl where, like, every time you picked the play that the offense was going to run and you destroyed it?
Mm-hmm.
That's Ivan. It feels like every time he dissects the play and blows it up.
Yeah.
And he did a sniper thing in the end zone.
Maybe the most instinctual defensive player
I've ever seen.
Like, and that's including Sauce. That's including.
What do you think about Royer today saying he's like the perfect blend of Perry Young and Jarrell White?
Well, I mean, we already had compared him in this space in the nightcap to Perry Young. I did that a couple nights ago.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised. I mean, it makes more sense combining those two. Sure. But again, not surprised. Like, I'm already making those comparisons without having played alongside either of those two players. So
it's amazing to watch him. It is amazing to watch his natural ability to play football.
And Ryan knows that position. He played
That's his position, right? Like,
so
he didn't play well, but he played it.
He played it. He was in all the meetings. He knows the
Right?
defense that this team is running. Like, So he gets it. Honorable mention, though, goes to Mason Fletcher, who is on the outside looking in as far as potential
One
guys.
of the top 10 punters in America.
He is right now in punting yards per punt. He sits at number 10 with 47.4 yards per punt. And Lane Wilkins from Houston with 47.7 is ahead of him in conference, as is Joe Doyle from Memphis with 47.8. All these guys are going to be talked about at the end of the season
for the Ray Guy Award.
In contention. Well, I mean, the Ben Bryant, Mason Fletcher, Ivan Pace, and Tyler Scott. You got to think 4 games in, I don't see the train slowing down for any of these guys.
Offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, special teams player of the year. Cincinnati's going to have a say in all 3 of those places. All right. Press conference tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow night. This is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!